Hello guys, here is Abdullah Zaghlul and today's discussion is about how to build a decoupled modular infrastructure for your own Nuxt.js application. So most of developers know about modules and layers and how to implement it, but actually they don't know about how to make them decoupled from each other for extra scalability, maintainability, and extendability. For example, this endpoint, we have API slash orders slash user ID. So this endpoint try to get user orders at the e-commerce module. And we have two modules, one called authentication module and one called e-commerce module. So firstly, you should check the validity of this user ID, if it is authenticated or not, using the Auth module. Then get the user, send the ID of this user to e-commerce module to get the user orders. So if you utilize the authentication module inside this endpoint of orders inside the e-commerce module, it will create tight coupling between those modules. So later on, you cannot separate the Auth module from e-commerce and the vice versa. So how can we get rid of this problem? So some developers try to use a button called observer, which is a event listener, and it is good, but it have a bad developer experience because once the event fire, you doesn't know how to track the listeners there. And some using internal HTTP calls. So at the endpoint of get user orders here, it will hit the endpoint of authentication, but it will try to handle a useless shape of response logic, loop all over the response to get the required data, and it will be easy if he try to communicate with authentication service directly. So how to solve this problem? I think we can use a mediator inside this app global module. So I will give you the example here, because the mediator have autocomplete and decoupled way, less memory usage, and by using the mediator, you know where the modules talk to each other, so you will easy separate them. So this is our endpoint here. Let's go for authentication. We have a repo called user repo, and this is user from database. For example, we have ID number 1 is Abdullah, name, and ID number 2 is the name is Zaghlul, and define the method, try to search user by the ID. Okay, and this is the user type, which have ID and name. And this is authentication service depend on the user repo. So you pass the ID and it will check the user repo. If the ID founded, it will return the user, else it will return the error which called this user not found right now. Okay, this is our authentication module. What about the e-commerce module? So we have order repo. So this is our orders at database. So any order consists of ID and user ID and order name. So ID number 1, user ID number 1, order name, and here we go. And get user order method, you should pass the user ID and it will search all over this array for the orders, and it will return all the IDs related to this user ID. For example, if we search for user ID number 1, it will return this one, and the same for the user ID number 2. And if we send any different ID, it will give us not found. Okay, this is the repo here, and the service depend on the repo. Okay, let's go for the endpoint here, API slash order. So the path parameter here is the user ID. As you can see, API orders, and this is the user ID path. So we obtain the user ID. How to get the user from authentication service without calling it directly here? So we implement a util called the mediator. This is the magic here, and it supports autocomplete. As you can see, if I say get users, it will say this one is not founded here, and it support the parameters needed is the ID of the user. So if we open it, we use a bind method. This bind is depend on the bind method at JavaScript. So it binds any function, creating a new function, and binds this to another context. So we have dispatcher here, so we will register the action and bind the needed method from any service. So for example, here our service have a get user, and if we try to say get users, this is not founded at the OAuth service. So it will work as we need, autocomplete working fine, and it just automatically all the parameter needed for this method. And once if you change anything inside all service get user, for example here, this one, that's authentication, yeah, get user, if we change any parameter here, it will be changed here automatically without duplicating ourselves. And the mediator, you should pass the name of the action as the dispatcher, and it will return and execute the function automatically. So we use it here using this mediator, it returns the user, then we pass the user ID automatically. Let's give it a try at our NuxtDevTool to check our validity of our mediator. So I will open it right now and saying, hey, I will found the orders for the user ID number 1. As you can see, it works fine. So it returned all the orders with the user ID number 1. And if I pass ID number 2 here, it works fine. And this one is called Zarlul, this one called Abdullah. Everything is working well. If I pass ID number 3, which is not founded, it will give you not user not found. This means the authentication logic working well using this mediator without calling it directly. And the benefit here, if I plan to extract authentication logic, all what I do is what? I will take the app module with the authentication logic to external microservice. If I plan to extract e-commerce, I will take the e-commerce module with this app module only. And inside the mediator here, I will go for it and say, hey, now I'm using another service. Please call the external Auth service instead of this. And return the same shape of data like user. And here we go. I will not change anything inside this code here. Hope this lesson is very good for you. Subscribe for more and more. And here we go. Bye-bye.